Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Now, you can also find yourself being heavily scrutinized by boxing fans, being verbally lambasted, and, kind of not feeling appreciated if you're someone like Gervonta Davis, who's, in my opinion, he's embodied the Mayweather philosophy. Now, for those of you who are saying, Hood Champion, what are you talking about, the Mayweather philosophy? What is it that Gervonta Davis has embodied? Well, let's start right here. And excuse me. I'm getting over this damn upper respiratory infection and also asthma. And I got my medication today, so we should clean the cough up in a couple of days, all right? But anyway, I don't know if you guys remember. There was several articles published. But this is Floyd Mayweather before the hair transplant. And, in this article in particular, Floyd started talking about sanctioning bodies and fees. Now, this is 4 years ago. And I'll just share it with you. Let me make this a little bit larger for you, okay? Make it a little bit larger here. Okay, there we go. So in the article, it's just talking about boxing. Has a large amount of titles, which we all know. All the weight classes, there's multiple champions. I've even made jokes about something called the Pearl Belt, some shit that Amir Khan had picked up. I'm like, damn, the WBC got something called a Pearl title? I'm like, Jesus. I didn't even know that until I read several years ago that article about Amir Khan. But anyway, man, the sanctioning bodies most people know about. The sanctioning bodies people know about and talk about. The WBA, WBO, IBF, and WBC, but people don't know about all the belts that they have. And Floyd, he isn't a fan of there being so many belts. Now, when he first started off as a pro, I'm assume most of you know about his career. Floyd had all kind of belts, man, across all 5 weight divisions, and then he just realized at a certain point that, I'm not going to give these people my money for an effing belt. So he'll fight the champion, beat the champion, and he just won't take the belt because he wasn't going to pay the sanctioning fees. And I also think towards the end of his career, that played into a lot of the decisions he made for different fights that he went forward with. Okay? But the bottom line is, I'm going to tie this all into Gervonta. Floyd felt that there's no such thing as a super champion, and he says what the sanction bodies are doing. He's like, it's just not good for the sport. He was like, every fighter's a damn champion. He attacked the sanctioning bodies, and just again, the money. I want y'all to remember that. You're just taking extra money from all these fighters by getting extra money from sanctioning fees. Okay? Now, remember, Gervonta Davis said he doesn't really care about belts. He's not worried about belts, right? Leonard Ellaby said, you can't, after you retire, you can't go to the bank and deposit your belt, or you can't go to the bank and decide you want to make a withdrawal. You need $100,000 and say, hey, I brought these belts in here, and maybe I can deposit them, I can withdraw the money. Belts don't mean nothing, okay? And that's the Mayweather's philosophy. Now, the thing with me, and I'm going to get back to that article, Mayweather had his legacy. Mayweather fought everybody. De La Hoya fought everybody. But Floyd, he has a very strong legacy. And he likes to talk about it. All the champions he beat and all the money he's made. Now with Gervonta Davis, see, this is what I think is a disconnect with a lot of the boxing fans. Gervonta Davis is an animal, right? He's a beast. We all agree. When you talk about Gervonta Davis, he is a beast in the ring. I personally don't think anyone at 135, I even think he go to 140, nobody will beat him. Now that's just my opinion. Some would disagree, right? But the thing is this, Gervonta, when you hear him talk, he can't necessarily talk about his legacy and how many champions he beat the way Floyd can. But he can talk about money because he's made a lot of money. That's because he's adopted that Mayweather philosophy of get the money, rob the bank, don't worry about belts. And a lot of fans, when they look at that, they're like, this guy has all this talent. He can maybe surpass Mayweather. Mayweather's skills, he's standalone in that category, right? But Gervonta has the skills, and he has that freakish power. He's explosive and he's mean. And I just think a lot of fans are just frustrated because they're like, okay, even if they don't want to understand, look, it's all about the dollar bill, y'all. Wu-Tang, Kareem, they still feel like, but he should do this. He should fight this guy. He's throwing away his potential because now he's talking about retiring. But at the same time, for me, I'm going to tell you, as a boxing fan, I would like to see Gervonta become undisputed at 135, go to 140, clean out 140, right? Whether he can do it or not, I don't know. I think he can, but as a boxing fan, I agree. I'd like to see it too. But as a 49-year-old who'll be 50 in May, who's retired, and now I don't have no damn Gervonta Davis money, but I'm all right, okay? I totally agree with him and what Mayweather, those guys are saying about it's all about the money. Even when I was in the military, I see guys who were comfortable with their positions. They didn't want to get promoted. With every promotion comes more money. They were just like, nope, I don't want the additional responsibility. I don't want the headache. I just want to stay where I'm at and be on cruise control. I'm making enough money to take care of my family. We save a little bit. Life is okay. And there are some people who are like that. But for me, I always felt like, look, you're comfortable, but if you're good at what you're doing, you can end up in a position with a whole lot of responsibility of someone who outranks you, but they need someone who can get the job done, and they'll take you. Let's say someone who's, I don't know if y'all understand military, but on the enlisted side, someone who's an E7 and they don't have an E8 or E9 on site, right? They may have an inbound, but they need somebody to fill that vacancy until the person, the E8 or E9 comes in. They'll take that E7 and put them in that position, doing E8, E9 work, but not getting paid for it. So when I watch Gervonta Davis, I kind of understand him like, look, I'm cool where I'm at. I'm all right with making my little 15, 25 million, a huge fight, maybe 40 million. I'm cool with making that. But, I'm not worried about making that Mayweather $150 million a fight, $100 million a fight. I'm not worried about that. And, and that's okay because Gervonta Davis is in a great space. But with me now, I kind of agree. If you can, with Gervonta, me being 50, is like, if you can get that kind of money with the least amount of threat and risk, you should do it. Get the money. And don't worry about all the people want to see you get in there and get bloody, banged up, risk getting knocked out and all that. Don't worry about that. Keep sucking out the system's eyeballs. Get all the money you can. Because at the end of the day, if he retires next year, the man is all right. And look at how he did it. He would have gone undefeated, more than likely, and retire with, I think it's going to be like with over 200 million to his name. So in my opinion, he won. And me as a 50-year-old, almost 50, I think he should go that route. But as a boxing fan, I think he shouldn't just hang up and fight everyone. But he said something. See, I don't think people really listen to what this man, I think they just look at him and think maybe he's a little bit of gamesmanship. He's just having fun with the interview. No, listen, it's two. So it's two things that I picked up on. I talked about two things earlier, but one thing is his daughters, right? He talked about his daughters. Okay? So there were three things. There was his daughters not really caring about belts. But the third thing I heard him say is what he puts his body through to get ready for a fight. It sounds like he doesn't want to do that anymore. And when you get to that point, it's best to just not get into a high-risk fight and just get your money and bounce. But at the end of the day, people can say what they want about Gervonta, say what they want about Floyd, say they want about any fighter. That's your right. But the Mayweather philosophy, look at what it got Tank compared to his colleagues. Devin Haney made some money. He ain't got Tank Davis money. Ryan Garcia, he got dough, right? A lot of his money come outside of boxing, but it translates to boxing. But I still think Gervonta Davis got more money than Ryan, even with all the shit Ryan has going on with social media, modeling, and everything else. Teofimo Lopez, Tank got more money than him. Tank has more money. He's made more money than all of those guys. All of them. Only people probably made more money than Tank in boxing. Canelo, AJ, Fury, Usyk. Yeah, Canelo, AJ, Fury, Usyk. I'm talking about right now. 175, cruiserweight, 168. Talked about called out Canelo already. 160, 154. Yeah, Crawford and Spence ain't even made that money. Yeah, the only people who probably made more money than Tank is AJ, Fury, Usyk. AJ, Fury, and Usyk, and Canelo. That's it. So Mayweather's philosophy works. But the one thing that is going to plague fighters, they're going to make the money if they stick to the Mayweather philosophy. You just got to keep winning, but you got to entertain. And Tank entertains. But you got to win. And you'll make the money. You may retire undefeated. But they're not going to be able, like Floyd Mayweather, to stand there and talk about all the champions he beat, all the titles he's won, and talk about the money. They'll just be able to talk about the undefeated record and the money. They won't be able to talk about the fighters they beat, the champions they beat, because they're not going to get in the ring and fight for titles and fight a bunch of different champions and ex-champions. They're just going to do it their way, which is fight the biggest fight to make the most money, the least amount of risk. Anyway, y'all can disagree with him. Y'all can agree with him. But I kind of like what the stuff that Floyd's saying here. It's kind of hard to determine who's a top dog in the weight classes because there's so many titles. And I like what he was saying about the sanctioning bodies and the extra money. But Gilberto Mendoza came out. He's the president of the WBA. And he actually, he made a few interesting points where he says, they tell me that there must be only one champion, but they don't give me solid arguments. They tell me that the titles are devalued, but when we talk about making a tournament to set a single champion, not everyone wants to enter. When we talk about accepting the champion versus champion fight, not everyone is willing to take part. And on the other hand, a boxer with a title does better. A boxer who gets himself a title fight does better. A network that broadcasts a title fight does better. A promoter who has a title fight does better. The same fan who complains, if he knows there's a title at stake, they are more attentive to the fight. Now, that's one perspective. Mayweather, who went 50 and on his career and held the WBA, WBC, IBO, IBA, IBF, and the ring titles in various weight classes, he's offering a different perspective. But when you really look at it, you can kind of understand what Floyd's saying. And you can understand why Gervonta is like, I ain't worried about them titles. I'm not giving those people my money. But at the same time, when you listen to what Mendoza said here, you can kind of understand, like, having that title, that someone getting that trinket, that little incentive, that does help. That does help, kind of bring the show along and kind of get people inspired and motivated to want to tune in. It does. And it can get a fighter motivated, And I'm going to tell you that. It's just called an awards program, award and trophy program. It's all it is. Same shit in the military we had, an awards and trophy program. And the boxing, the award and trophy program is, it's the title. Or they are titles. Okay? And if you get in there and you're competing and your effort is greater, then your reward should be greater. And in the military, you're either going to get an award, you can get a type of trophy, you can get a letter of recommendation, you can get a decoration, you can end up getting promoted. And that makes a person feel good. And their peers look at them, and most of them, some hate, they be hating. But a lot will look and say, damn, I want to do what that person's doing. How did they get that? I want that. And in boxing, I think it's the same thing. You know, they do have a lot of fighters who say, shit, I want to be a champion. How did he attain that? How did she attain that? Then you find out about the work they put in. And that's why I say, if your effort is greater than someone else's effort, then your personal reward should be greater. And then what happens is morale goes up. But if your effort is less than someone else's effort, right? Or if your effort is greater than someone else's effort, but your reward is less, that's going to cause morale to plummet. And that's what you can see happening in these fights where fighters are losing. Like people talk about Bivol and Beterbiev. Bivol's a little deflated because most people felt his effort was greater than Bivol. Bivol's effort was greater than Beterbiev's, but his reward was less because he didn't win the undisputed distinction. Okay, so does the sport of boxing need to be cleaned up? Yeah, I mean it doesn't look really good to see so many champions, but at the same time, when you had a top dog like Tank Davis, doesn't have the desire to really go out there and prove that no matter how many belts there are, you know, I'm really that guy. And then talking about retiring now, I think it could leave a little bit of a black mark on his career. Like you're trying to solve for X, the unknown. What could he have been? How far could he have gone? But one thing everybody will say is he could scrap. And nobody can ever take that from him. Anyway, Gervonta Davis embodies Mayweather's philosophy of the titles don't matter. Get the most money you can, the least amount of risk, and retire with all your mental faculties. Because like Floyd Mayweather would tell you, I didn't let the sport of boxing retire me. I retired from the sport. I have all of my faculties, I made smart business decisions. I say that to say this. Like I said before, I get out the shower to take a piss, so I'm in the breeze.